Have you ever wondered what is really happening in Indonesia right now? In this powerful deep dive documentary, we unpack the Indonesia Gelap protest movement shaking Southeast Asia's largest democracy. From the country's historic foundations to the rise of President Prabowo Subianto and Vice President Gibran Rakabuming Raka, this video explores what led to nationwide protests, and what it means for the future of Indonesia. You'll learn a brief history of Indonesia's formation, the current political climate under Prabowo and Gibran, what triggered the hashtag Indonesia Gelap movement, what protesters are demanding, how the government is responding, why this matters globally, where Indonesia could be in 10 to 20 years. This isn't just about one country, it's about democracy, youth activism, and the future of civil rights in the modern world. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, because what's happening in Indonesia might just change the future of Southeast Asia. From the ashes of colonialism to the complexities of modern democracy, Indonesia has always been a nation in motion. But now, it stands at a historic crossroads. A student-led uprising, known as Indonesia Gelap, or Dark Indonesia, is shaking the foundations of power. This is not just a protest. It's a reckoning. Indonesia, the world's largest archipelago, declared its independence from Dutch colonial rule in 1945, following centuries of foreign occupation, first by the Portuguese, then the Dutch, and briefly the Japanese. At its birth, Indonesia was envisioned as a Pancasila state, one built on 5 pillars: belief in one God, humanitarianism, national unity, democracy, and social justice. This philosophy was a binding force in a nation of over 17,000 islands, 700+ languages, and hundreds of ethnic groups. But the dream was far from smooth. Sukarno, the first president, led with charisma but struggled to balance authoritarian control with national unity. Suharto's New Order regime, 1967 to 1998, brought economic growth, at the cost of political repression and human rights abuses. In 1998, students again rose up, toppling Suharto and ushering in the Reformasi era, a democratic transition filled with both hope and fragility. Since then, Indonesia has toggled between reform and regression. Fast forward to 2024, and the nation elected Prabowo Subianto, a former general accused of human rights violations during the Suharto era, as president. His vice president, Gibran Rakabuming Raka, is the son of outgoing President Joko Widodo, Jokowi. To many Indonesians, this election signaled a consolidation of power among elites, and a return to a more centralized, militarized style of governance. Under Prabowo's leadership, major economic and military reforms were promised. But just months into office, the cracks began to show. In February 2025, a hashtag began to spread like wildfire, hashtag Indonesia Gelap, Dark Indonesia. What sparked it? Massive public budget cuts, over US $19 billion, which slashed education, healthcare, and local aid to fund a new free nutritious meal initiative, MBG, seen by many as vague and mismanaged. The use of sovereign wealth funds like Danantara to funnel public money into unclear ventures. Proposed revisions to the Armed Forces law that would give military personnel the right to hold civilian posts, seen as a threat to democracy and civilian oversight. Perceptions of corruption, nepotism, and a crackdown on free speech, especially against student groups and civil society. Students, civil organizations, and digital influencers rallied together, organizing both online and offline. Black flags were waved. Universities erupted. The streets of Jakarta, Surabaya, Makassar, and beyond were filled with chants, tears, and a powerful demand: accountability, reform, transparency, The response from the government was mixed: initial dismissal, branding the movement as a foreign provocation. Later, partial concessions, including budget reassessments and legislative reviews. Meanwhile, riot police clashed with protesters. Tear gas filled the air. Activists were detained. Ambulances were blocked. Despite the backlash, the movement persisted, evolving into Phase 2, targeting the military law directly, and demanding a return to democratic ideals. Indonesia isn't just Southeast Asia's largest democracy. It's the fourth most populous country in the world, a vital trade hub, a key player in regional security, and a model for pluralistic society. What happens in Indonesia reverberates across Asia, the Islamic world, and democratic movements globally. #Indonesia Gelap matters because it reflects a deeper truth: when young people feel ignored, democracy loses its soul. This movement is a warning bell, not just to Prabowo's government, but to all political systems at risk of trading liberty for control. Where does Indonesia go from here? If the current government listens, embracing transparency, restoring budget balance, and preserving civilian democracy, Indonesia could enter a golden era of youth-led innovation, green energy, digital enterprise, and social progress. But if repression deepens, military influence rises, and public voice is silenced, Indonesia risks a return to authoritarian patterns cloaked in modern dress. The next 10 to 20 years will decide whether Indonesia becomes a beacon of democratic resilience, or a cautionary tale. To the people of Indonesia, you are the guardians of your nation's light. Continue to speak, to organize, to vote, to dream of a better Indonesia, not for a few, but for all. A nation built on Pancasila must never let power silence principle. Let this darkness be the beginning of a brighter dawn. This is not the end of the story. This is the moment the world began to pay attention. Thanks for watching. If this inspired or informed you, please hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Let's amplify the voices of those who refuse to stay silent. Comment below, what do you think about #Indonesia Gelap? Until next time, stay informed. Stay engaged. Stay hopeful.